Yep. Hello and welcome to Clctv for April 18th, 2019. I'm your host, Ben Carlson. Let's get right into the news. Today we have a good collection of stories for you. So let's kick it off with April's Cultural Thursday, where Faith caught up with Meg Foster about her Russian experiment.
So the program that I was a part of or applied to was SPAN, which stands for Student Project for Amity Among Nations.
When Meg went to Moscow, Russia, she not only tried new foods, but she got to wake up every day with an amazing view of the city. And she met new people that would become lifelong friends.
Being able to be there for such an extended amount of time, being there for 2 months really allowed me to experience the culture in a full way. In the beginning, I was a little nervous about traveling alone, so I traveled with a friend in the beginning, but then I felt comfortable and was able to go around by myself and get around well.
Meg said that people were very friendly.
I think it's a huge city with a lot to offer, and palaces and so much history, thousands of years. There was so much construction, and I'd love to go back and see what Moscow looks like now.
Her advice would be to learn the Russian alphabet.
Thank you, Faith. Now we head a little more closer to home with Student Life, who is offering students the opportunity to tour St. Paul this month. This time, students get to explore Minnesota's capital and the Como Park Zoo. It's the third and final trip in the See Your State program, sponsored by Student Life and the CLC Foundation.
The Como Zoo is our biggest zoo in Minnesota, and it shows from tigers to lions to some lizards that you can even hold. And also the state capitol. The state capitol is in St. Paul and is a really fabulous building. I've been there about 4 times now, advocating on behalf of my students, but also for just some fun trips as a 5th grader.
The event is being held on April 27th at 8 a.m. The trip is free for students with the exception of paying for your own food. In order to participate, you must sign up at Student Life or email Eric Hepner for more details. Sounds like that trip is going to be a blast. Next, we had Brian catch up with the Student Senate as they get trained in on bias from Scott Foster, our sociology professor. Check it out.
In a world where bias seems to run rampant in our society, it's important to catch our own biases before they affect our decisions and judgments. This is why sociology professor Scott Foster met with our Student Senate to coach them on bias training this past Tuesday.
We're not really that different from one another, except in terms of, our cultures and so forth, but biologically, no.
Central Lakes College strives to be a welcoming, open-minded community, and it's meetings like these that keep it a free and peaceful place. That's why Foster also does these with members of CLC faculty.
So what you could do is just ask them, what's the last thing you heard that really infuriated you?
It's important to keep the dangers of bias in mind as we strive to keep CLC bias-free.
Thank you, Brian. Not all students are lucky enough to not have to count on the weather. One such group is our baseball and softball teams. Tuesday, our Raiders softball team hosted Mesabi Range for a doubleheader. The Raiders won the first game of the split series with a score of 18-3. They followed up the first performance with a nightcap and another great game, winning that game 13-2. The Raiders women now have an overall record of 9-8 and a conference record of 3-1. Our Raiders team hopes to continue their winning ways Friday as they travel to face off against Rainy River Community College. Baseball has been relocated to CLC for Friday and Saturday. The Raiders are coming into this week with a 10-10 overall record and an 8-2 record over the last 10 games. If you've been to our neck of the woods in the West Wing, you may have noticed something new being put up. Here's Garrett with the details.
Here at CLC, our students like to brighten up the atmosphere.
It's kind of a dull, drab color around here, so we just wanted to do something nice, simple, and pretty that's going to bring attention and cause people to stop and look and see what's going on. Work study for horticulture department, and I'm also a horticulture student in my last semester. And Jeff, the instructor, asked me if I wanted to do a mural. I'm an artist kind of on the side for fun. And I'd never done anything like this before. I don't consider myself a painter, so I'm kind of just winging it, making it up as I go. I thought, well, this is a challenge I can't turn down, or I get paid for it, so why not? Next step is the cherry blossoms, and then we'll be done.
Thank you, Garrett. Now before we wrap up today's show, there's one other kind of wrap we have to talk about. That's right, it's finally the time of year again for the Grad Wrap. Here's Logan with the details.
As the school semester comes to an end and graduation only a few weeks away, some students are feeling a bit overwhelmed with preparing for the big day. Luckily, CLC has already thought of a way to help their students. Last Tuesday and Wednesday, the school hosted Grad Wrap at the entrance of the school. Here's Ken Doles to tell us more about this long-running event.
So at the end of the year when they're going to graduate, we just want to have this event is available to them, that they can do everything they need to do in one location at both campuses. And we started this years ago. I think Jostens had a program that was similar to this that we did the first year, and then we thought we'd strike out on our own, and this is probably going back about 12 to 14 years that this program has been going on.
With so many different areas to cover, who all is sponsoring this event?
The effort is in cooperation with a number of departments. We do it out of kind of heading up graduation with marketing and public relations, but it's closely tied with the registration office, financial aid, business office, student life with the caps and gowns, veterans services, and the foundation and alumni services.
Lastly, what all does Grad Wrap do for the graduating students of CLC?
So they can make sure they have applied for graduation, and if they haven't done that, they can do that here. They can do exit surveys for financial aid. They can make sure they take care of any bills in the business office. They can become an alumni of the college at this event. They can do a placement exit survey. We have a special table set up for veterans, so if they're a veteran that is graduating, they get a special cord, and then they wrap it up by getting their cap, gown, and tassel, and all in one location, kind of wrapping up their college experience.
And with that, thank you, Ken Doles, for letting me interview, and I'll be wrapping this segment up.
Thank you, Logan, and thank you for watching this episode of CLC TV. Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And make sure to share this video with your friends and family. For Brent Balmer, Mark Ambrose, and everyone involved with CLC TV, I'm your host, Ben Carlson. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your afternoon.